What's up, guys? My name is Mickey. Welcome back to a new video. Okay, so first things first, let's address the elephant in the room. I shaved. Listen, I'm going through a really difficult time. I thought I'd look cool after I shaved. Instead I look like I'm 40 years younger, and people say I look like I'm 12, and dude, I don't know, it's a tough time right now. While you guys are here, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm gonna keep posting videos of future predictions. I'm gonna be consistent with this channel. I'm very passionate about the UFC. I'm gonna keep posting new videos. I think really important concept that needs to be talked about right now is the coronavirus and how this is gonna be affecting the UFC. I'm from Italy, so we saw the Serie A stop, and this is something that never happens because stopping the Serie A in Italy is quitting Starbucks literally anywhere in the world. Who can survive without Starbucks? No one can. Yeah, don't even act like you can. You can't. Without Starbucks, your life is worse. Sorry, I just had to cool down a little bit. But in the US, they've halted the NBA, MLB, NHL, NCAA, NASCAR, PGA, Bellator MMA, and various other boxing activities. So this isn't a joke, I don't think, I've been alive for 20 years, and in my time, I haven't seen anything like this before. But I'm pretty sure the older demographic has also never seen anything like this from happening. This is a really, really serious and delicate situation that is affecting all sports. And just to give you guys a bit of background, I'm not an expert at all. I barely know how to tie my shoes correctly. So I'm just going to read to you guys what the coronavirus is, taking it from the World Health Organization, because who knows better than them. So, coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause illness, ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome and severe acute respiratory syndrome. Detailed investigations found that SARS-CoV, which is the severe acute respiratory syndrome, was transmitted from civet cats to humans, and MERS-CoV, which is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, was from dromedary camels to humans. So several known coronaviruses are circulating in animals that have not yet infected humans. What are the common signs? Common signs of infection include respiratory symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, and breathing difficulties. In more severe cases, infection can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, and even death. Standard recommendations to prevent infection spread include regular hand washing, covering mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, thoroughly cooking meat and eggs, avoid close contact with anyone showing symptoms of respiratory illness such as coughing and sneezing. And to make you guys worry even more, this is something that I researched. There are people called the patient zero, or people who have the virus but do not show any symptoms. So the severity of this virus lies on the fact that some people might not even know they have it, which is crazy. Linking this back to the UFC, we've seen all sorts of sports stop with the NBA and everything. I won't name them again. So what is the UFC doing? How is the coronavirus gonna be affecting the UFC in the next couple of days, months? So I did a bit of research. Obviously, we saw that UFC Brasilia was displayed with closed doors, meaning that the only people inside were the actual fighters, because or else what is even the point? They're trainers and the judges as well as the referee. So only the people involved in the actual fight. Now, what did I think of the event? I think, in my opinion, it was weird to watch. Even after the interview where Moicano tapped out Hadjovic with the rear naked choke, he was interviewed by Bisping. And, Hadjovic expressed it was sad for him not to see his family there or anyone in the crowd to cheer him on, because he had the home court advantage. He was in Brazil. Had he won that fight with a crowd, it would have been insane. Some fighters express, obviously, the disapproval, but at the same time, it needs to be understood. The situation needs to be understood. The reason why the UFC Brasilia was behind locked doors is obviously because the governor of Brazil said that, there weren't allowed to be any events more than 100 people to take place. Obviously, the UFC Brasilia was going to fill more than 100 places, so it had to be behind closed doors. In London, there was supposed to be the March 21st bout, and this was taking place between Woodley and Edwards. On March 13th, I think 2 days ago, Dana White came out on ESPN and he said he was gay. No, I'm kidding. He came out on ESPN and he said that basically the fight was going to be easy to take place. Everything was going to be back to normal because again, London has not particularly taken any precautionary mechanisms that have been taking place in other types. But again, this was 2 or 3 days ago. So recently, there was another article in March 15th, which basically, March 15th being today, which said that because of the restrictions applied by the government, the event could not take place in London. Okay, and we also saw this with the Premier League. It was originally supposed to keep going, and then Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta got the virus, and so then there was another emergency meeting, and it stopped. Basically, Premier League stopped. Now, the March 21st bout was between Woodley and Edwards was supposed to be in the UFC's own place, which was the Apex in Las Vegas. Yeah, and so what just came out is that Leon Edwards, due to the travel ban set by Trump, because now with this travel ban, you cannot leave. You basically can't enter the U.S. unless you have a specific situation. So this has caused a lot of problems everywhere. But it's just the way that people are supposed to deal with this virus. Again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to go into detail for the sake of it. But basically, what this means is that Edwards can physically not be legally allowed to travel to Las Vegas to fight against Tyron Woodley, and so the match has to cancel. And so the question that is brought to my mind is, what happens to all the other bouts? It's like, yeah, okay, cool. UFC has their own place to fight, Apex in Las Vegas, dope. But what about all the other people that, let's say, Khabib comes from Russia? Like, how is he going to be able to fight there? Conor McGregor comes from Ireland. How is he going to be able to fight there? Fighters will not be legally allowed to enter the United States of America. So how are they going to be able to fight in Las Vegas? That's a question that I continue to ask myself, and that makes me wonder, whether it's even possible for the UFC to keep going, So that's sort of crazy. They said that they would apply the same idea to the fight that was supposed to take place in Cleveland, Ohio between Ngannou versus Rosenstruck. Sorry, I butchered his name. It was supposed to take place in Ohio, but then the governor banned multi-seated events, like everything else that's going on. And so boom, it came back to Las Vegas. April 11th, where there's supposed to be Alistair Overeem against Harris. That's also going to be moved to Las Vegas. So people are asking, like, yo, like, Dana, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we going to do to try and maintain the safety of everybody? And so Dana has actually come out on ESPN, and he's been saying how the UFC is working on finding a way to, obviously they're going to be screening fighters before they fight. So before a fighter has a chance to fight another person, another fighter for that matter, they have to be free of the virus, obviously, so they'll be screened. And these are, approaches that have been implemented before in the UFC, Dana stressed. So it's not like, this is all new to the UFC. The reason why there's never been an injury or a death or anything in the UFC is because of these precautionary measures that the UFC takes. And so with this coronavirus, it's the same thing, just, a bit more intensely. So they're going to screen fighters to make sure that they're not infected at the time they face each other. At the same time, they're working on a new technology. So there's basically this infrared that checks if people were to enter in the arena. This infrared checks the temperature automatically of the people that are walking into the arena. So if your temperature is low enough, okay, you're good, you're good, you're good. However, if your temperature reaches a temperature above a certain amount that isn't deemed good or normal, then, you step aside, they check how you are, they see what's wrong with you, and then they'll take it from there. But the point is they're taking precautionary measures as they should be. Because the three main symptoms of the coronavirus are coughing, high fever, and sore throat. Again, I'm not an expert. I just read this. These are the basic things. And so this raises another question for me. Like, I'm thinking of weighing the pros and cons of having the fights with no audience. Like, this was just a thought that I was having, and I've listed out some pros and cons. So literally, like, the pros of fighting in an empty arena, we saw this with the UFC Brasilia. Some of the pros I thought were obviously, like, first of all, like, we are ensuring the utmost safety to everyone by doing it. Like, you're putting the fans in a safer place, the fighters in a safer place, the coaches in a safer place, the judges, the referees, the people in the corner, security, everyone. Everyone is safer if they stay at home and they stay away from public places. So that is the biggest and most important pro there is of keeping fights behind closed doors. Another thing that I thought from a fighter's standpoint is that they can hear the instructions of their coaches in a lot in a clearer fashion. And I think this is a really underrated point, because when we have an arena that is just blasting of noise, just everyone going wild, like you barely even hear the coaches. Like you don't even think they're there until the end, where they're either like, or they're like, like you don't hear the coaches. And so UFC Brasilia was the first time where I heard like a fight with no one there, and you could hear every single bit of what the coaches were saying to the fighter. Obviously, if they're speaking in Portuguese, I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but that's the idea. It's really cool to see this interaction between fighter and trainer, and that's something that you don't usually see in the UFC. But that's I think personally, it's super cool to see how they interact in that stage where it matters so much. And I think another super dope pro is that you can actually hear the fighters trash talking one another, which is so beautiful, as well as the refs talking to the fighters. When we heard Moicano trash talking Hadjovic at the end of it, saying like, I want her to fight longer, and Hadjovic saying, well, you shouldn't have submitted it, and then respect. Like with a full on arena, like first of all, like I don't think we would have been able to hear any of that, which would have been, quite sad. Like now, for the rest of our lives, we'll be able to hear what those two said to each other after the end of the fight, which is, to me, it was so funny. Like when I saw that happening, it was killing me. Like it was so funny. Now we move on to the cons. The cons of fighting in an empty arena, like I think it's literally pure entertainment. Like, dude, when a fighter fights in the arena like that, I want to see the joy in his eyes. Like I want to see him like cry of joy because he won in front of that crowd. Like I want to see the cameras panning onto different people, and like, like the reactions, like we saw Paulo Costa in the Adesanya and Romero fight. We want to see the boos, the oohs, the ahs. Like, dude, having the crowd there, and like that's what makes a fight. The fans are what make the fight. So that I think is the biggest con of fighting in behind closed doors. This is where we're at right now, March 15th. I'm trying to keep postpone. I'm trying to keep myself informed. I heard just now, like really, really recently, about the Edwards fight and how he's not able to, fight, and they have to cancel the main event. And so I don't know what's going to happen now. Before making a prediction on these guys, like I want to see how things go. But at the same time, like if there's anything weird, wacky, like I'm going to keep you guys updated. So if you guys are down, if you guys are enjoying the content, again, make sure to like, subscribe, because I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep making videos. Do you think it's better to just do what all the other sports are doing and just cancel, take a break, and just be like, yo, let's just try to handle our health right now? Or is Dana's approach correct? Like, yo, we're going to take precautionary measures. Like I've talked to the president, I've talked to the vice president. Like we know what we're doing. We're going to do everything we can in a safe manner to continue this and continue providing the entertainment. Like there's people that disagree with what Dana is doing, specifically saying an article came out on The Guardian and it's titled, "The UFC's defiance of the coronavirus outbreak is reckless and irresponsible. Dana White's insistence that the show must go on is not only a prime example of corporate greed, but a betrayal of all its responsibilities towards its staff, its fighters, and the public." Are you guys taking this approach where Dana White would be, irresponsible of him to continue going in this way? Or do you guys take the approach of Dana himself, who says that fights will go on despite the coronavirus because safe precautions are taken? Let me know what you guys think. Like and subscribe. More videos coming your way. Feel free to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.